Good evening, friends. I don't have a lot to say in what I wanted to share tonight. I wrote some notes earlier that I'm going to refer to, but got to be honest with you, this week I've been pretty discouraged. Um, the update from our governor regarding the plans to reopen the state, while it's encouraging to see that there is a plan in place and some light at the end of the tunnel in regards to resuming some kind of normal life, it's still left me wondering how we will get to a point to where we're allowed to do Lighthouse again. A night of Lighthouse is about being close together. It's all about spending time together, playing, eating, praying, singing sometimes, and I'm just really struggling to see how we can do these things and stay 6 feet apart. If you've never been to a Lighthouse meeting, I'll throw in a clip here to show you just an example of a game that we play called Pit. Here's what I'm talking about.
I got one! I can't find my other one! I got one! One! I got you! Got one! One! Two! I got one! Two!
So when I think about how we're going to do things like that again and all the other things that we do at Lighthouse, it's just really discouraging. But there's so many things in the Bible where the Lord tried to do his best to prepare us for seasons of life like this. Jesus in the New Testament, he said, hey, listen, in this life, you're going to have trouble. I think if he was probably sitting in front of a bunch of teenagers today, he'd say, hey, girls and guys, there's going to be some parts of life that are really just going to suck. They are. And I want to encourage you, I want to challenge you to not give up, to believe that this is not all there is. I really think that's what he would say. And yet, when you're in the midst of just hard stuff, especially stuff you don't have any control over, like this pandemic season that we're in, just hard. And yet, I've been continuing to read and think and study about Joseph, and you have to believe that Joseph had been feeling some of these same ways for 13 years of his life. If you go back and listen to the first lesson on Joseph that we had a few weeks ago, back in Genesis 37, Joseph had these visions, these dreams that God had given him, a picture of what his future looked like. And he was so convinced of it that he told his family. Unfortunately, that made him be the hated brother. And so as Joseph spent time in these different seasons of his life, traveling as a slave back to Egypt, living in the palace of Potiphar, then living in jail for years, not seeing those original visions happen, Joseph had to be struggling with, man, is this all a big joke? Is any of this, does it matter? Did I screw this up? Maybe I was wrong about those visions. Maybe they just were stupid dreams. Here's the thing. The Lord wants us to trust him. If he painted the entire picture out for us, told us about all the bumps and unexpected turns and everything that was going to happen, then we would try to do it on our own. We would try to live this life from the perspective of we don't need him, but God wants us to trust him. He wants us to know that he doesn't bring evil on us, but that in this world where he's given people the freedom to make their own choices, that he's always using those things that look like failures, that look like mistakes, that look like big pause buttons, sometimes total screw-ups. He's using them for our good and for his glory. The problem for us is that we are so used to being able to get what we want now. Google can give us answers to virtually any question in milliseconds. As fast as we can type it, we can get the answer for it. Any kind of entertainment, games, movies, connection, digital connection with others is at our fingertips anytime we want it. Hot and ready to eat food can be available to us in minutes. We avoid discomfort and trouble at all costs, yet the development of our character, the stuff that really matters, our soul and who we are, that does not happen quickly. It takes time, often years, for God to produce in us the things that He wants to see in us. And very often He's waiting for us to surrender to the process, to stop white-knuckling through the hard stuff of life and to just let the difficulties of life do the work they need to in our hearts. So tonight I don't have a lot to share. This has been a week where my morning prayer times have had a lot of, Lord, I do not understand, and I'm really struggling. But I do trust you, even though I don't see where this is going. Then I do my best at facing the demands of the day and not allowing the uncertainty of tomorrow to rule my mind. If you are struggling, I would encourage you to do the same. Start your day tomorrow by telling the Lord how you feel, how you don't see how this is ever going to get better, how you're not even sure that you trust that it will. Say those things to God. None of that is going to be a surprise to Him. Say to Him, I want to trust you, but I just don't see how I can. What I can tell you from my life and from the lives of so many others that I've seen and watched and read about is that God is 100% faithful. He always comes through. He always keeps His promises. If you're learning verses, tonight's verse is another one of my favorites. I think I say that a lot, but I have so many favorites. Isaiah 26:3. It says, you will keep in perfect peace those whose minds are steadfast because they trust in you. If you're learning the longer ones, do verses 1 through 4. In fact, I'll close here with verse 4. It's perfect for tonight. It says, trust in the Lord forever. For the Lord Himself, He is the rock eternal. Thank you for listening. Good night.